Hello and welcome to our show Conversation with Priya. And today, our very close friend Edward Gia is our guest. Edward Gia loves creating master persuaders and influencers. It's marketing mentor certified practicing market CPM and international master coach, and has mentored thousands of winners globally in help them get more clients, win top positions, and become leading personal brands. As Master Grand Coach, Edward has exceeded the thistles of 10,000 plus personal coaching hours, making him a leader in his field. He helped individuals generate millions and millions of dollars and love it so much. Prior to Edward starting his own company, Excellence Above Coaching, he started his working career in the Australian Army as a combat engineer. He has grateful to be invited to work in the federal government on a special project in drug enforcement, fighting organized crimes, and anti terrorism. Edward has lived many lives with incredible ups and downs, from being at the bottom of society and doing it tough, walking the men's street, finding out information to protect the public, right through to managing a team of elite professionals and helping thousands and build bigger businesses. Edward works directly with the key organizations such as Microsoft, Teachable, Meetup, WeWork, LinkedIn Business Australia, the Australian government, and more to get the latest knowledge and support great people. This also includes his charitable work as a proud Christian and Templar, helping the global community thrive. So today, help me to welcome Edward Gia in our show, Conversation with Priya. I'm your host, Priya Mishra. Hello, Edward Gia. Thank you for joining in and accepting my request to join my show, Conversation with Priya.
I'm honored to be on your show, Priya. To be on the show of a global success like you makes me very happy.
Thank you. Welcome. So today, I know you have a lot of followers, and I mean, we have been friends for a long time, and I have seen your growth. You have seen my growth, and when all this journey started, how did you started this whole journey and started thinking, okay, this is it. This is what my niche is, and this is where I'm gonna focus as a professional.
It's funny you ask that. I used to be homeless at one point in my life. At one point in my life, I was a homeless veteran a bit over 10 years ago. And when I was a homeless veteran, I had this dream, living in my car at the time, I had this dream of, I didn't say the word influencer because influencer wasn't part of the language then, but I said, I want to become some kind of global coach and star one day. And it was kind of a fleeting thought. And over 10 years later, it happened, which was really funny. And for me, it all started with that little thought. It all started with that little thought of this is what I want to do. And every day just taking one baby step. And after 10 years, it finally worked out.
Step by step, isn't it? Every single step does matter in your journey, you know. And as we always say, that progress is better than perfection, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I was actually, you and I were having this conversation off camera, and I love it. I was actually thinking a lot the other day about our critics. You know, the people that told you and told me that we wouldn't make it and we'd be failures.
Yes.
I actually seen one of them the other day. Most of the people who told me that I'd be a failure are all out of business.
Yeah. And, you know, that's the problem with the society. They are very judgmental, and they actually look at the cover and they think who you are. And it is up to us how we pursue and be perseverance in our journey, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, I'm amazed at what you've done, Priya. I mean, I've seen the growth you've gone through. I've seen the knocks you've gone through. And every time you come out on top, and I guess no wonder we get along. You and I have a lot in common.
Yeah, for sure. So having said that, what are the challenges that you face commonly during your mentoring assignments, and how different it is in business mentoring from mentoring individuals?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So I've done the whole sort of one-on-one transition to like the global influencer transition. And in short, it's been challenging, but not that challenging. The hardest thing that I have is having to deal with so many people at a time. So I used to speak to maybe 2 people a day.
Yeah.
I yesterday spoke to 60 people yesterday. So
oh my God.
Yeah, so a lot of one-on-one conversations, but also learning how to run events. So these days, we've streamlined our business using a lot of like GoToWebinar and Zoom, and which have been awesome. So it's also been learning how to run events, how to deal with lots of people at once, how to put out great content. It's been really good. It's been, if anything, in hindsight, I stayed one-on-one too long. I wish I went into this leverage fashion probably a few years earlier.
Yeah. No, very interesting. But this whole pandemic situation changed the whole demographic and also the way of thinking and the approaches people are approaching us, and the people who were not agreeing earlier to jump into the Zoom call, they are like ready to jump anytime when you ask, rather they are asking now. So of course it changed the whole shift, mindset and thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're having this conversation off camera before. It's sort of like you and I are now global leaders, and ironically, it's like the whole pandemic. In the pandemic, there's no staying the same. You either win or lose, right? Again, there's a lot of reasons for that, and with respect to people who've have suffered, who a lot of people have, and we took off. We were lucky in that we took off during the pandemic. Like during the original lockdown, we tripled our fan base, which was life-changing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think that the whole pandemic thing has probably pushed our world 10 years into the future online.
Yeah. And remember, a long time ago, we were discussing about how to create a business model within the business model and become more invincible, right? So when you become more invincible, you are adopted. Unless you are ready to adopt the market very quickly, market will leave you behind. That's how it works, Yeah. So if you see the crisis is coming, you have to be ready. And like this crisis, nobody knows. Like nobody knew and nobody will know, right? And then we will adopt. And quicker we will adopt, the people better you will survive, And that's my lesson with the multiple people conversation. That's what I learned. All crises cannot be managed, proactively. So you have to be ready. And that's why it is called crisis. But, how fast you can react and how nicely you can handle. What was your thoughts on that?
Oh, well said. I've got nothing to say because you said it so well, Priya. So everything you said, plus my addition to that would be that the businesses that change faster are the ones that did well. So we were quite lucky in the sense that we were already quite online before the original lockdown and the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
However, we did change quickly because pre-pandemic, I used to post twice a day on LinkedIn. The moment I now post 10 times a day on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And then the argument kicks in, okay, Ed, why didn't you start posting 10 times a day on LinkedIn before the pandemic?
Yeah.
And the answer is, that's a good question. Perhaps I should have. And it was the pandemic that sort of made me hit the panic button. But I wish instead of waiting for the pandemic to hit the panic button, I wish I voluntarily hit the panic button 6 months earlier.
And I think it's changed a lot. It changed a lot in your fan following. And I love the way you actually go in a very personal approach. And I have noted, like, I get always personal voice comment. I think many people do not get that kind of a personalized message these days. I feel like every LinkedIn or any email I get, it's like you created one email and bulk it out. Like how many people you want to say? 1,000 people in my list, let's send it. And I'm a big believer of being personalized, So
it's funny you bring that up because I was having this conversation yesterday with one of my mentors actually. And the thing that I found is that with the whole influencer thing, the way I divide it is into two worlds. There's two sides of being an influencer. One side is how many followers you have, all the likes, shares, and comments. Oh, bless you, Priya.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, just so you know, I get hay fever really badly. So yesterday I just sneezed all day. So I get the worst hay fever. So I'm maximum love to you, Priya. I know your pain. What I was saying is, so there's the way I look at it is two worlds to being an influencer. One side is all the content, likes, shares, and comments, right?
Yes.
The other side is how you talk to people one-on-one. And I find most influencers, they can be good at getting 100,000 followers, but they don't have any sales and they don't actually talk to anyone.
I think, and it's not a new concept which we are trying to implement. People always loved that personalized thing, isn't it? Yeah.
And on that note, as a note of irony, in contradicting our whole conversation, I'm actually in the city today because in Australia, lockdown's pretty much over. I'm actually running a face-to-face meetup today. So ironically, in contradicting everything we've just said, I'm now running face-to-face events again as well. But I'm not doing it in opposition to the online. I'm doing it in synergy with the online, which has been incredible.
Yeah. I mean, see, I believe it should be supplementing. And of course, you have 84,000, 85,000 followers nearly. And you can't cater everybody at one time and in one scenario. Of course, you have to create a lot of scenarios to cater everybody. But if you remember the book Dale Carnegie, he was like Win and Make Friends, the influencer category, written in 1800 time. I mean, that long, the influential quality is not that. That was the industrial era. It's still he was able to create and break the, mark in that time. And that time only he started writing the personalized letter. There was no email thing. So, right. And he got success due to being more personalized. And I felt like, even though in modern era, you are using technology. Yes, you are using all that mass communication, but at the same time, you are keeping it personalized. And I love that about you being that side of influential category.
Oh, thank you, and you too, Priya. And that's why we're winning, because again, I know we don't have a lot of time, so very quick story. But when I was about so right now I've got over, I think, 82,000 followers, and our business page is over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. So, between Lassie, my wife, and I, we've got over 200,000 followers, which is great. On LinkedIn. The bit that I find interesting is when I was about 20,000 followers, like quite early in my influencer journey when I started taking off, one of the people I know who I had a light falling out with, she actually contacted me. She had about 75,000 followers at the time.
Wow.
When I had 20,000. And she said to me, basically, Ed, I'm not getting any clients, and I know you are. How are you doing it? And it blew me away. It's like she had more followers and I had way less, but I was getting customers and she wasn't. And and you're an expert in this topic, Priya. She had nothing to sell. She didn't have any webinars. She had no sales process.
Right. Yeah. I mean, of course, I know you guys, you and Lassie is very synergetically working, and, it is always a teamwork. But, due to this pandemic, there has been a growing need for corporate individuals, mentoring requirements. Can you share your insight on this and some interesting case studies?
Yeah. So I get people from all around the world, joining our business community and asking for help. And the biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now is people who look at me and say, Ed, I want to make it big on LinkedIn. I want to make it big online. And I know you can help me. And the reason why I know you can help me is I've seen you do it.
Yeah.
I've seen you go from 20,000 followers to like 200,000 plus combined. And Ed, so it's a lot of people who actually, they were like me a few years ago. They're people just like me a few years ago. They're great people. They're successful on a local level, but they want to take off online and become big shots, which I'm all for.
Mm-hmm. And that's a very interesting angle you are bringing especially in the small businesses, the work you are doing. It's very impressive. The success and perseverance are seen as an essential attribute in today's world. How do you see companies bridging the gap with their services?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It all comes down to, I think, in a big company, right?
Yeah.
Or a small company, it all comes down to who's running a given department. So be it's someone's own business or it's a department within a large organization, I think it comes down to how customer focused someone is. So if you've got a real customer focused leader that's all about content, looking after customers, things are going to go well. If you've got more of a back end numbers focused leader, who's just chasing a dollar sale on that, you're going to have a weak customer experience. And I'll use an interesting example. I've started flying again, right? I've been flying like domestically within Australia. I've been flying to Brisbane, Melbourne, that sort of thing. Just simple 1.5 hour flights.
Yeah.
And Virgin Airlines, I think are great. They're a big company who have done well on the customer level. So it's possible, like whether you're a small company or a big company, it is possible to love your customers. I think it's all about the culture at the top.
And, as Jim Ryan used to say, if you don't have a value, you don't have a business. you know.
Totally.
So if you have to have a value add, and you have to be open for what you promise. How can you deliver extra on it? Little bit, a pinch of salt makes a difference in the taste.
And just on that, I couldn't agree with you more. Using Virgin Airlines as an example, like Virgin Airlines are a discount carrier. They're way cheaper than Qantas, right? But you know what? They still give you a drink. So even though it's a 1.5 hour flight, they still give you a drink, and they still give you like a bag of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And other discount carriers just give you nothing. So even though they're a discount carrier, they're still being really nice to you within the commercial constraints they have.
Yeah, and keeping that originality and keeping that original value going on. So in that case, what is it that takes to be a good leader, CEO, influencer, and a good human being? What it takes?
Ooh, it's look, my own humble response to that question is I think there's two answers to that. One is you have to be business savvy, because you have to look at the numbers, you have to make sure money's working out. And you have to care about people. So I think the success, and I'll use Elon Musk as an example to illustrate this point, right? Richest man on earth, give or take of stock prices. He's the richest man on earth, give that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Elon's a good embodiment of that. Someone who's brilliant at the money, brilliant at the ideas, and someone who's also great with people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know comparing myself to Elon Musk is obviously, I would never do that because he's an absolute genius. But I will say this, is that what I love about Elon in that example is care about the numbers and care about people. You do both and things work out beautifully.
Yeah. I mean, I have noticed, I'm an observer. You are also an observer. I have noticed one of his interview I was watching, and he said, if I'll be sitting everywhere half an hour, I'll be making more dollar in that. And I was having a communication with somebody, and he said, oh, he is so dollar savvy. And I'm like, look at he is not known for being a psychologist or emotional EQ side. He is known for being an entrepreneur and the innovator, right? So of course he will be straightforward what he does and where he focuses his energy. But then when I was watching a project, show, and he was literally crying on the energy problem going on in Australia. So of course, in a different scenario, you can see this different angle of a same human being,
Exactly. Like, he's a brilliant genius. He's money, business, he's got it. And he cares about people.
Yeah. And that makes the human and an influencer different, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what makes him so powerful, right? And again, as I keep saying, based on the stock price that day, he's either the first or third richest man in the world. I think it's basically him and Bill Gates who just got a great position. So if Tesla has a good trading day, Elon's the richest. If Microsoft has a good day, Bill's the richest. Whatever. It's always those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, I feel they are both richest human being, because they have a really kind heart and they have always something worked on the society. That brings that excellence above has gone global, which are the major geographic that you are concentrating. And how has the international journey been thus far in the terms of growth for the past year?
That's been really good. I got my first United States client, I think it was about 2 years ago, and I had to pinch myself. It's like, wow, I'm now my first overseas client, right? I'm like, oh, this is interesting. My first overseas client. And just that experience changed my mindset instantly. So even though I only just got my first international client, that instantly transformed my mindset, because I instantly got that red pill, that penny dropped. I'm like, you know what? I got to get out of this, as much as I love Sydney, and I love Sydney, it's a beautiful place, but I got to get out of this Ed's a Sydney guy mode to Ed's a global guy. And when I sort of reframe my identity that way, it changed everything. So even though I do a lot of stuff on a local level, I also do a lot of stuff on a global level. So I'm always thinking globally and locally and trying to keep both balls in the air at the same time.
When I was a child, my uncle said one time, we were sitting and he was educating us. I grew up in a combined family. So my uncle said that, a frog lives in this well. In India, water source is well, right? So villages, especially villages.
It's literally like the well in the middle, like, oh,
Yes, yeah.
that's
So
cool.
that was source of water for us. I grew up in a village. So he said in a well, a frog lives and he thinks this is the most beautiful world and this is the world, right? But unless you get out of that well, you don't know how beautiful other part of the world is. So if you really want to grow, get out of that well.
Oh,
And I'm still following. So I believe that unless you grow, unless you get out of it,
yeah.
you will always think this is the world, right?
Yeah, and building on that analogy, right? I like your well analogy. What about the time the well dries up? What about the time that there's more people using the well and there's no water for you to live in? What do you then do?
Yeah. And it's getting ready for future and bring a better source for others as well. It's not about just you. When you get out of that well, you also brings the better source of water and other aspects to the people who are surrounded by you, isn't it?
Very cool. Now, well said. And I got to say, Priya, and I've seen the ups and downs you've gone through. And again, no wonder we get along. Every time you're on a downer, 3 months later, you're kicking butt again. So you and I are very similar. Whenever we screw up or bad things happen to us, we're very great at getting on top again.
Yeah, I remember last year we did this communication and he said there is 2 ways only to go. When you get hit, you just force harder and bounce back, or you go and make hole on your couch and keep crying. That's the only 2 ways you can live, right? And we choose different paths, right?
Yeah. And I think whilst that sounds very logical, I think most people choose to cry, like be it consciously or subconsciously. I think most people do choose to cry on their couch. I've done that before. You go into self-pity mode. I've done that and I've been guilty of that. And when the whole original COVID lockdown hit, I spoke to my wonderful wife, Lassie, at the dinner table, and we knew right away we were looking at our victory or destruction. There's no middle ground here. This is either going to be the end of us or it's going to become our triumph. And there was only 2 ways to go.
Yeah.
And Lassie and I very intentionally, like March last year, made that decision saying, you know what? We're going to go up. It's the only way to go.
And it is always, not everybody is self-motivated. Not everybody has that strong willpower me and you have. And, of course, not everybody is lucky as you are. Like Lassie is a really beautiful partner. We have seen both of your work together. But having said that, if you don't have, that's why there is an option of mentoring and getting coached and, and look for the help, I would say. How do you present that angle?
Absolutely. This is one of the reasons why I love LinkedIn is, again, I'm on LinkedIn as a top global LinkedIn influencer, blah, 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 and all that. However, sometimes I just like LinkedIn. So forgetting business just for the moment, there's a lot of people I follow on LinkedIn and I learn from them. So I'm always I use LinkedIn as much for business as I do it for my own personal entertainment. Mm-hmm. And be it's one of my, friends or influencers posting a cool bit of advice or them doing a video sharing ideas. I just get so much out of LinkedIn. What I say to people, let's say you've got no money, right? Let's say, and believe me, I used to be a homeless veteran, so I know what it's like being poor. I totally know that, right? I know poverty well. Even if you've got no money, right, you can just sit there on LinkedIn for free and just browse and get incredible ideas.
Right. Yeah. And it's this kind of a platform, it has full of knowledge as if you explore those options, it's a beautiful place to explore as long as you are open to different kind of angle in learning, you open to these kind of a platform. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate, Ed. It is always wonderful talking to you. Everybody appreciate your mentoring sessions, your networking sessions. And thanks for your time. I know you are a busy person. You meet a day 60 people, but it's amazing. Amazing. It's a new height I heard from you. But great to see you today. Thank you for joining in today.
Priya, absolutely honored, and just want to say thank you and thank everyone so much.
And to reach you out, people can find your all details in our description. Before you go, you want to say something, 2 cents to the people who are struggling right now?
Yeah, 2 points. Please follow and show Priya Mishra much love. I'm a huge Priya fan. So even though this interview has been a lot about me, maximum love back to Priya. So please follow and support Priya. She's amazing. I've known Priya for many years. And just as a closing thought for everyone, stay consistent. So whether you feel good or bad, you got to stay in the action. And the true winners are the ones that can do the work when they don't feel like it.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for your kind advice. Thank you for joining in today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done it. To know more about us, visit www.corporality.global. And also you can find more about Priya Mishra is on priya.sydney.